Welcome to Discovery of Earth.
Episode 2: Evolution of Dinosaurs. From time to time, we find remains of the dinosaur's body. These remains are also found in some museums. So let's know about dinos. Welcome friends, in this episode we will know about dinosaurs, how they ended and how the origins of humans. And dinosaur can be reborn with the help of today's science?
At one time, dinosaurs ruled the earth. They walked where we are walking, breathed in this air, they fought on this earth. These giant big bizarre dinosaurs ruled this earth for about 14 million years. There were several thousand species of these dinosaurs. Some of these were vegetarian, some carnivores, and some dinosaurs were very calm. At the same time, some dinosaurs were very violent and dangerous. These were the most successful creatures of that time, but then what happened suddenly? After all, what was the event that erased his name? To know this, we have to go back millions of years and look closely at that last day of dinosaurs. So let's go 65 million years from today, 50 million years behind. Nearly 6.5 million years ago, the weather on Earth was normal. Sunlight was scattered all around. The cool sea breeze hitting tall trees and the shouting of dinosaurs screaming around. When all these dinosaur species were living their lives on Earth very comfortably, then their fate was written 100 million years ago. 100 million years ago, a small asteroid fragment coming from distant space collides with a large astronaut roaming the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, about 200 million miles from Earth. This collision changes the direction of that big asteroid and it moves out of the asteroid belt and accelerates directly towards the Earth at a speed of 22,000 miles per hour. When this asteroid was 384,000 kilometers from the Earth, then dinosaurs probably would not have ended from Earth. If this asteroid collided with the Earth's satellite moon, but destiny was somewhat different. This large asteroid passed very close to the moon. This 2 trillion metric ton asteroid, with a diameter of 40 kilometers, was growing closer to the Earth with every second that when the asteroid came into contact with the Earth's atmosphere, its speed suddenly increased to 70,000 kilometers per hour. As friction entered the Earth's atmosphere, it turned into a terrible fireball. It was moving towards the Earth at such a speed that in just 4 minutes it crossed the Atlantic Ocean. Its brightness was so high that even before hitting the Earth, thousands of creatures had become completely blind on seeing this burning shell of fire. These creatures could not see that meteor, but they were feeling its terrible heat. In a few moments this asteroid collides with the Samin near the Gulf of Mexico, and a fierce explosion with an energy of about 35,000 degrees Celsius. The explosion of this collision was equivalent to the detonation of about 10 hydrogen bombs. This explosion was so powerful that as soon as it collided, millions of tons of metal of Earth went into space. A 180 kilometers wide and 20 kilometers deep crater was formed at the site of the collision. Due to the explosion, all the metal and stones of this pit turned into a big cloud of dust in the sky. 16 minutes and 40 seconds later, due to maritime collision, all 4 inside the Earth and 11 decimal seismic waves started rising. This led to the formation of giant waves in the sea, and successive waves of tsunamis began to fall all around. The seismic waves swept all the active volcanoes, causing dinosaur destruction all over the place. The process of mass destruction of the Earth had started. The magnitude of radiation in this terrible explosion increased so much that all the creatures within its radius of 800 kilometers were completely burnt to ashes. Dinosaurs flying in this great disaster escaped these ground threats, but this was just the beginning of the disaster. Millions of tons of mantle stone and dust that went into space due to the explosion, due to the gravitational pull, started raining all over the Earth in the form of fireballs exactly 40 minutes later. At the same time, a huge storm of dust was bringing death to the other side of the Earth at a speed of 6,000 kilometers per hour. These dust clouds were several kilometers thick, which made it impossible for sunlight to reach the Earth. Nearly all the population of tree plants on the Earth was gutted due to the hot air temperature exceeding 7 degrees Celsius. 90 minutes after the explosion, the Earth's temperature rose to 200 degrees Celsius. Because of this, dinosaurs who were miles away from the blast area could not survive this heat. By this catastrophe, 90% of the total species of the Earth was completely destroyed, and out of the 10% of the organisms that survived on the Earth, only that organism was alive. Those weighing less than 30 kilograms. The reason for this was that millions of creatures had been killed in this disaster, and the entire population of tree plants had also been burnt to ashes, due to which the big and giant creatures who survived here could not get enough food to drink. But this apocalypse was going to prove beneficial for any other organism. The end of the dinosaur brought a golden opportunity for a new species. This species was manholes of manholes, i.e. mammalian organisms. He saved himself from this great disaster. They started living inside the ground to escape the extreme heat, and they started eating everything to stay alive. After the passing of such a great disaster, the Earth was back to normal again. New tree plants had started growing again on the surface, and many new species were born by the process of adapters and radiation among the 5% of the creatures that had survived on the Earth. In this scene, 5.5 million years ago, a monkey-like species appeared. His eyes were facing forward in the head. During this period, an important evolution took place inside the head of the primate. The hole connecting his spinal cord to the brain, called the foramen magnum, began to shift from the base of the back of the skull to the center. That is, the species that came now was able to stand upright and walk. 4.7 million years ago, the Earth's atmosphere began to change continuously. There was a stir in the tectonic plates of the Earth which took the two large continents of the Earth to each other. The land is where we Indians live today. This is India, which was moving rapidly towards the continent of Asia. Due to the collision of these two continents, mountain garlands like Himalayas started to stand. This is the same mountain garland that we know today as Mount Everest, the highest peak in the world. These mountain garlands were so high that due to this the weather patterns started to change, which made the Earth cold. The snow falling from this mountain range started to form many rivers later. It is the same rivers that provide drinking water to more than half of our population today. Oligocene. In Ipoh, 30 million years ago, the global cooling grasslands started growing and the forests began to decrease. Then animals that were suitable for living in the open field developed, and in these animals eating other animals also developed. 1 million years ago, the Earth began to form there, which we are seeing today. The atmosphere of the Earth was almost completely similar to that of today, and all the continents of the Earth were almost completely known, but the circumstances started changing again. 40 million years ago, the Earth's tectonic plates stirred once again and a new mountain range was formed in the eastern regions of Africa. This mountain range was East African drift vale. Due to the emergence of this mountain range, the monsoon of the seasonal air coming in the green forests of this place completely stopped, and due to this the rain stopped in the forests here. It was in this forest that the great X lived. These is our distant relative. Our ancestors are called payroll of ethics or payroll. Our family started with this great ape, lived on parole or trees and ate fruits. Being 10th, they could not move from one branch to another, so they were always swinging. Sometimes they used to stand on their own two legs as well. They could walk contrary to popular belief. The ability to walk upright, not on the ground, but on the twigs, was developed. Later, these great Alps changed according to climate and place. Some evolved into chimpanzees and gorillas began to develop into humans and then spread throughout Africa. The forests here dried up after the rain stopped, which had the most impact on these apes. Due to the drying up of the forest, the problem of eating for these apes has arisen, and that is why they got down from the trees and started their steps on the ground in search of food. This is Vikas remittance. This is our ancestor who took the first step of human history on the ground, and today because of these, we took our first step on the moon. His mind was as big as a century and his length was 4 feet. These were the earliest direct genes of our lineage. After several thousand years of development, they started walking on 2 legs. This used to cost less energy and they could eat even while walking. Now, walking on 2 legs, they could now stand upright and monitor far and wide. Over time the process of development went on and our ancestors started developing slowly. In this way dinosaur ended and humans were born. Today we have developed so many people that we have changed the nature of the earth. Now the question arises whether these developed humans can bring dinosaur or other veneer to this earth from the help of science. Maybe yes. In 2010, a very distant drawer and other unexplored part of a female mammoth's body was found in the ice, which was a ton. Researchers said that the body of this mammoth was buried in this ice for 39,000 years. And in spite of this, its body is in such a safe condition that any tip or skins of its body did not damage anything. Which was a very surprising thing. Thanks to this huge discovery, the scientists can collect blood samples of this extinct species, so that they will be able to clone the species in the coming time. The researchers also said that this was stuck in the mammoth, due to which he died there and he was pressing for thousands of years. So scientists found any way to reborn dinosaur in this earth.